People are constantly using media. Look in your hands, your pockets right in front of you on your laptop. Whatever you're using to watch this speech is something that is obviously affecting you through media. Whether it be social media, such as Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, or other sources of media, such as visual media, like Netflix or YouTube, the thing that you're probably watching this on. No matter what it is, media surrounds us and affects everything we do. From the food we eat, the things that we see that we like on Instagram, those pictures of the food that people take, all the way to the things that we watch, such as West Wing, Game of Thrones, House of Cards. Everything that we do, everything that we watch, everything that we partake in affects what kind of things that we partake of. From the food we eat, as I said, to the politics we partake in. That's actually what I'm here to talk about. How media affects our politics. Specifically, how Game of Thrones affected the 2016 election. Now, you may be wondering, how could a show with an archaic point of view, an archaic political structure, possibly affect our political views in today's age? The answer is very simple. It is a modern show made by modern people to talk about modern problems. Now, to understand this, you need to understand what Game of Thrones is about. Yes, while it does house a archaic political structure, it is not just simply that. It is a show that is surrounded by politics, a show about politics, something that still rings true to today. We have things that are outlined in the show that obviously show things that are in today's politics, from war and sex all the way to dirty politics. We've seen all of these things referenced for the past 70 years, maybe more. All the way from war, which we've been in since the 1940s to kind of before that, and we've not stopped up until today. We're still threatening war, still going into things like this. War surrounds politics, all the way to sex. We've had scandals from the 90s with Clinton's administration, all the way up into recent days with Trump's political scandals, such as his sexual things that he said about grabbing somebody by the. We all know the reference. But it's more than just that. We've also got dirty politics, from the whole thing with Hillary Clinton's emails to to the election being affected by Russia in Trump's favor. That's just recent things that we've seen back in 2016. Back in 2016, we were in season 6 of Game of Thrones. And it's kind of hard to explain how Game of Thrones could affect it in 2016 without going back to 2011 and telling you what Game of Thrones is. Game of Thrones is simply a drama, a political drama, kind of. More or less a drama that's surrounded by action and love affairs and things like that. But it does house a political structure that we can all look at and appreciate and actually get sources from. It's a drama that affected all kinds of people across the country and even across the world. But how does that work? Well, you may be wondering, how could a show, simply a show, affect our politics? And if it could, why aren't we looking at a political show such as West Wing or House of Cards? These are shows that are directly related to politics. Well, it's simple. Game of Thrones was a much larger viewed show. Back in 2016, when season 6 came about, we were looking at a fairly large viewership. You may be wondering, how large of a viewership? Well, for season 6, there were 25.7 million views for just season 6 of the show. 25.7 million people viewed into the show, and season 6 was airing in 2016. But of course, just a viewership doesn't affect anything. There have been multiple studies conducted to look at and multiple things talked about whenever it comes to media and TV affecting our political views. Jonathan Gray back in 2009 even looked at this, but not with political TV shows. Instead, comedic TV shows. Comedic TV shows do have a particular stance on politics. They're constantly showing them. If you've watched Last Man Standing, which is a TV show, it's a sitcom, a comedy TV show featuring Tim Allen, it constantly talks about political views. And if a comedy that is not centralized around politics, but instead the life of a family can talk about politics and affect the way that we view our politics because of the TV that we watch, because of the show that we're watching, then why can't a TV show that is directly based around politics affect us? As said in the show, it's a Game of Thrones. You either live or you die. There is no in between. However, in today's world, there's only one thing true to that. You either win or you lose. You don't die. But it still holds true. There is no in between. You don't win and lose at the same time. But more than that, there have been other things to affect. There have been other studies shown, other studies that have looked at the effect of popular media, popular culture on our political views. In fact, as cited by Sonia Enthorn, there is an entire study based around it. An entire academic look at this. And there's a constant connection between popular culture and our politics, as done in this study by Sonia Enthorn. But what does that matter? Well, Game of Thrones quickly made its way into popular culture, constantly affecting us and things around us, making its way into things as references and other things. I can't remember a time whenever I didn't go around and hear people say winter is coming or you know nothing, Jon Snow. It wasn't that simple. But all of these sources don't matter if there wasn't things issued by Game of Thrones. You see, Game of Thrones, while based around an archaic political structure, did make a lot of political viewpoints known. The creators of the book, George R.R. Martin, to the creators of the show. And it really didn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered if the show weren't so popularly viewed. You see, a lot of people speculate that Game of Thrones has done many things, from making a stance on climate change with the whole winter is coming, all the way to making a standpoint on gay marriage based on the gay relations within the shows. Now, back in 2016, there was things released about Game of Thrones by the producers. These 4 panels, these 4 voting signs for characters within the show, like Jon Snow and Mormont. But it was more than that. The New Yorker looked at these and decided to make a publication talking about how we can relate our favorite characters to the political election, the presidential election, whether it be relating Hillary Clinton to Daenerys Targaryen or relating Donald Trump to Robert Baratheon from season 1. It didn't matter. So if these sources can all look at popular culture and even Game of Thrones as something that affects our politics, then I think we can too.